Hello, it's Don. All right, let's talk about float pods on the John boat. Oh, you don't know what they are if you got a John boat. What do? Do we need them? Do they improve performance? You know, what they're made to do is exactly what the name refers to, flotation pods. They're made to give flotation to the back of the boat. In the instance of this boat, this is a 14-foot Grizzly Tracker, a 1448. Went to a 30 horsepower 4-stroke motor. And the difference in weight between that and the 2-stroke it was on it created some problems with the boat. I wouldn't say problems, but it had a porpoising problem for one. So I wasn't crazy about that. But being an older tracker, it only had a 15-inch transom, and the extra weight, I had very little clearance from the water. And then I made these splash shields, as you can see, just to keep the water out. I mean, that was nice. But really, none of this was the cure. When the boat ran, it had a large wake behind it. It was heavy in the back. So, you know, I'd read a lot on the float pods. I said, let's try this. And on this boat, wow, night and day difference. The boat floats 4 inches higher. When I'm running on plane, there's half of the wake behind the boat. It's running on plane that much easier. And when you're sitting there fishing, it just feels a little more stable because it's not sagging down in the back. One of the biggest problems, misconceptions that I see is people, when they're mounting them, they're installing them. They're like, oh, hey, you need to tilt it up. Oh, you need to tilt it down. No, you don't do any of that stuff. You keep it even with the bottom of the boat. I shoved a board underneath here just so you could see for reference. Right even with the bottom of the boat, right on out, back, past, right to the end. Even. Not up, not down. Matter of fact, these are beaver tail float pads, and it tells you in the instructions not to have it more than a half of an inch up at the end, you know, from where it's to the boat. And that half inch ain't much. So what they're trying to tell you is, hey, make this thing level. And sometimes, depending on your boat, you might have to create a filler piece welded in to accomplish that. But that's the right way to do it. There's hundreds of fiberglass boat manufacturers out there with the back of the boat comes past the motor. They don't bring it out past and go down. They don't bring it out past and go up. They don't have a gap there. It's part of the boat, and that's the way it needs to be. The second question I get a lot is, okay, this Grizzly Tracker, it's got a little bit of a V to it. I don't know what that V is. It's not much, a couple, 3 degrees, 4 degrees at the most. But, you know, they're saying, well, should I make my float pods level straight across and, you know, leave that gap underneath? No. Tilt them down left or right. Make them even with the bottom of your boat, all the way. That's the key, even. I don't know if this is going to show up very good, but it's even all the way across. And if you look at the board on the other side, it comes out flat with the bottom of the boat. In this case, even across, flush with the bottom of the boat meant I had a little differential there. That is of no consequence. It's important to keep that playing field even. If it's not even with the bottom of the boat, as you're planing, it'll create turbulence underneath that float pod. It won't affect your motor at all, but if you go to run a fish finder or anything to that nature, your transducer on the back of that float pod where it needs to be, not in front of the motor, it'll create turbulence and your fish finder won't work with the darn. It'll aerate, it'll make bubbles. You're like, why can't I get this thing to work when I'm going more than 2 miles an hour? Well, there you go, that's the answer. All right, well, I hope I didn't rattle through that too fast. There's not a lot to it. Keep it simple. Like they say, don't overthink it. Keep it level, front to back. Keep it level, left to right. If you can, weld them on there. It's always the best route. If you can, bolt them. Don't rivet them, through bolt them. This boat, that was not an option. It's got flotation squares in the back and you just couldn't get to it. If you do decide to bolt it, you got to cut holes in the top of your float pods and put an inspection plate there so you can reach through. Put big fender washers back there, nuts and bolts. Okay, I hope I helped. I hope I cleared some of the confusion. Have a great day.